All right, hello MUCT 105L class. This is your remote lecture for week 7. All right, let's begin by warming up on all of the scales in this order. You'll notice we did them last week, and when we warm up in class, sometimes we do them major, then natural minor, harmonic minor, melodic minor. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's start with natural minor, melodic minor, harmonic minor, and then major. Okay, so mix it up a little bit. We'll do it in this order. All right, let's start with natural minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do, te, le, sol, fa, mi, re. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, te, le, sol, fa, mi, re. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, le, sol, fa, mi, re. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. All right. Go ahead and open up your Berkowitz book. We'll sing a couple of examples on page 17. Okay, on page 17 of the Berkowitz, let's begin with number 61, starting where we left off in last Friday's class. Okay, you see we have an example here in D major, and it has the interval of an octave. Remember last Thursday we spent some time on the interval of an octave with its specific properties of intonation. But here we just have the interval of an octave. Okay, so that leap, and then basically what amounts to a step down, and then kind of a leap up through an arpeggio, and then a step down again. So the patterns from the first half and the second half of this melody are similar. A leap up, either an extreme leap or a less extreme leap, and then a step down. All right, let's get the key of D major. All right, I'll give you one subdivided measure, 1 and 2 and 3. Do, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, sol, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. All right, number 62, the moderato con moto example. See, we are in alto clef. We have 3 flats in the key signature, and if you look at the first and the last note, you will see that we appear to be in the key of E flat major. Note near the end of the first line of this example, there's a rallentando, that means gradually getting slower, and a fermata, which means you're going to hold it. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of lead through that fermata, that rallentando to the fermata. So I'll hold it, and then we'll go down. Okay. You might want to sing this down an octave unless you have extremely high range. I'll start down here. It goes an octave down. All right, here we go. We start with a broken chord. Do, sol, mi, 1, and we're going to do it in 4. It's written as cut time here, but we'll do it in 4/4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Do, sol, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, re. Do, sol, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Mi, re, do, re, mi, re, number 63. You can see here that we are in E of some kind, E minor specifically. If you look at where the accidentals are, you see some D sharps, T, but also some C naturals, lay. So this is harmonic minor mode. And you can also see, just as we've talked about before, that harmonic minor mode tends to keep inside that bubble. So T, Do, T as the bottom part of the bubble, and Sol, Lay, Sol is the top part. And you can see all the melody is kind of within that bubble. So let's go ahead and get E minor and we'll sing it. Do, 1 and 2 and 3. Do, Ti, Do, Re, Do, Re, Me, Fa, Sol, Le, Sol, Fa, Me, Re, Do, Ti, Do. All right, and let's do one more. Since we're in minor mode, turn the page over to page 18. We're going to do one more example. And you can see we're introducing the concept of skips, which we've already done in major mode, but now in minor mode. Okay? And these are almost all just skips in number 64 anyway, are almost all just skips in the minor triad. There's a couple of Re's here, but almost all of it is Do, Me, and Sol. You might want to sing this a couple of times so you can get used to the feeling of moving back and forth among notes of the tonic triad in minor mode. All right, we are in F sharp minor. I'll get the key of F sharp minor here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, Me, Sol, Me, Do, Sol, Me, Do, Sol, Do, Me, Re, Me, Do, Sol, Sol, Me, Do, Sol, Me, Re, Do. All right, and we'll look at the other ones in this little section on Friday. All right, let's shift over to the Berkowitz book, and we're going to continue our journey through compound meter, especially compound meter dealing with the level of the double subdivision, the 16th notes. All right, open your rhythm reading book to page 35, and we'll do a couple of examples here. Okay, on page 35, when we did the last example, number 50 on Friday, we noticed that it was a little bit difficult that there were meter changes. So meter changes are certainly difficult. Rests are changes, especially when you've been building up a head of steam, like at the end of 50 with a lot of 16th notes and we don't get that payoff on the downbeat. But there are other things that are difficult too. If you look at number 51 in the middle of the page, page 35. Okay, the standard things. We've got a lot of dynamic contrast, diminuendos, crescendos, and things like that. There are some rests, but not too weird. What makes this most difficult really is just the meter itself, 12/8 time. Okay, so this is done in 4, just like 9/8 is done in 3, 6/8 is done in 2, 3/8 is done in 1. But 12/8 time, especially when you're dealing with the double subdivision with a lot of 16th notes, you can see that there's just a lot of space in every measure. And it's easy sometimes to get lost within the measure and not know what beat you're on. So that's something you have to keep in the back of your mind. Make sure that you are aware of where the beat is. So I'm going to give you one subdivided measure in 4, or 12/8 in this case, but done in 4. And make sure you stay on, understand which beat you're on, and then of course the dynamic contrast. Here we go. 1 and 2. 2 E and a 3 and a 4 and T, ticky ticky T, ticky ticky T, 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 T. T, 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 ticky T, ticky T, 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 T. Ticky, ticky, ticky T, ticky T. Ticky, ticky, ticky T, T, T. T, T, ticky. T, 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 ticky T, ticky, 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 ticky. Ticky, 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 T, T, T. All right. I've messed up a little bit of that second line, last measure, so be careful of that. Don't follow me if I make a mistake. Let's go down to to the bottom of page 35, number 52, the preparatory drill. Okay. Having the 16th notes on the outsides of the figure, the tiki, ti, tiki, almost gives you a feeling of a syncopation. Okay, so it's important, just like back on page 34 when we had number 49, the tiki, ti, ti, tiki, ti, or even before we had tiki, tiki, ti, tiki, tiki, ti, where they advise putting that accent on the strong beat, on the downbeat. I recommend that also. If you go tiki, tiki, ti, tiki, tiki, ti, then you're going to start losing the sense of the triple beat of the compound meter. So on the downbeat is a really good place to kind of keep yourself honest with the beat. 52. 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 and T, 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 ticky, T, ticky, ticky, T, ticky, T. Ticky, T, ticky, ticky, T, ticky, T. And we'll do one more example bringing these things together. Page 36, number 53. All right, beware of some of the dangers and some of the traps here. We are in 9/8 time, and then moving to 6/8, then back to 9/8 again. And there are also rests, including at least one complete measure rest. Okay. Remember, there are two ways that you can write a complete measure rest. Just generally, one is you can write out the number of rests specifically to equal the number of beats that are in the measure, or you can just write a whole rest, and that will count as the entire measure. Never mind the fact that this, if you think of this as being 4 quarter notes, doesn't make any sense at all in 9/8. Doesn't matter. This also can mean just an entire rest of any type, and it'll just depend on the context that you're in. Okay, and that is the case, the second line, second measure. All right, I'll give you one measure in 9/8, and we'll be in 1 and 2 and 3 and a T, 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 ticky, T, ticky, T. Ticky, T, ticky, T, T, ticky, ticky, T, T, ticky, T, ticky, T. T, T, ticky, T, 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 ticky, T, T. T, ticky, T, ticky, T, ticky, 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 T, T. T, ticky, ticky, T, 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 ticky, ticky, T, T, ticky, T. T, ticky, ticky, T. Ticky, T, ticky, T, T, T. Ticky, T, ticky, 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 T. Off. All right. That'll get us forward a little bit. We'll prepare ourselves for next Friday's class. Also with more intonation exercises, exploring some of the other intervals we haven't talked about yet, and also we're going to start on some duets as well, so that we can put those intonation exercises into an actual context of a duet. Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you then.